Viewer discretion is advised.
What you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you?
Cops is filmed on location with the men and women of law enforcement. All suspects are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law.
Today we're going to Culver City Police Department to interview policemen about how different elements of our culture, like social media, are affecting their line of work. Let's see how it goes.
So will you give us your name and your title and your daily duties here?
My name is Randy Vickery. I'm a lieutenant with the Culver City Police Department. Right now I run the Detective Bureau, and my daily duties are managing the caseloads for the detectives. So what that means is when the patrol officers get a call or a report, they'll take the initial report, they'll send it up to us, and we will distribute the cases per each desk. Like if it's a robbery, it goes to a robbery detective. If it's a stolen car, it goes to a GTA detective. And assaults, we have different detectives for each crime.
How long have you been an officer?
I've been an officer a lot longer than you've been alive. I've been an officer for 28 years.
All right, so give us your name, official title, and your daily duties.
Andrew Belante, Police Sergeant in Operations Bureau.
All right, how long have you been an officer?
About 14 years now.
Your name, official title, and your daily duties.
My name is Troy Dunlap. I'm a lieutenant with the Culver City Police Department, and I am the lieutenant in charge of community relations and media relations.
How long have you been an officer here?
For Culver City, I've been here 15 years, and prior to Culver City, I was with the Oakland Police Department for 2.5 years.
So give us your name, your official title, and your daily duties.
My name is Aubrey Kellum. My official title is a police lieutenant for the Culver City Police Department, and I am presently the Day Watch commander.
How long have you been an officer?
30 years.
All right. And what inspired you to become a police officer?
I think it was after high school I just had the desire to help people. I like the whole idea of being in the mix of things, driving fast, the uniform, and just the whole concept of being a police officer.
What do you think the most important thing you've learned has been?
Fairness, honesty, just being available for people.
What inspired you to become an officer?
Just the job itself. I knew a lot of police officers from the gym, so went on a couple ride-alongs, liked what I saw, and luckily I was able to get hired here.
All right. What is something you wish you knew going into this job?
I mean, the amount of work that it is, it's a lot of work.
And what do you think the most important thing you've learned is?
Treat people with respect, and building relationships with people and friendships that are going to be lasting for your entire life.
All right. What is something you wish you knew going into this job?
Something that I wish I knew. I wish I would have known that no matter your intentions and how well you do something or what you're trying to do to help the community, you're always going to get second guessed. People constantly are second guessing your decisions, how you do things, and it's kind of hard to explain to people that haven't done this job. So it's one of the things that I didn't know, but I've kind of gotten used to it.
And what's the most important thing you think you've learned?
Patience. Conflict resolution is definitely one of those things. As a police officer, sometimes people's attitude is that we have all the answers and we think we know everything. But I've learned over the years just to listen. If you kind of listen and give people time to just explain what's going on, it goes a long way.
And what inspired you to become an officer?
It's just something I've always wanted to do.
What is the most important thing you have learned as an officer?
That the job is about service And I think we should probably listen more and talk less.
What is one thing you wish you knew going into this job?
That I needed to listen more and talk less.
All right. So with the rise of media exposure, there's been a giant surge in the movement Black Lives Matter, and a large part of that is trying to solve the issue of police brutality. What is your take on that? Do you think there's really a rise in police brutality, or do you think there's more a rise in media coverage?
I think there's more of a rise in, media coverage. There has been police brutality throughout the years. You can't deny that it hasn't happened. I think here at our department, though, we're lucky because we're a very small department and we're able to monitor what the officers do. And a lot of people don't realize that any use of force that we get into, anytime you put hands on people, it's critiqued, it's reviewed. A supervisor has to go out on scene to make sure that it was done within policy and there was no excessiveness in it. But with social media, I think that a lot of people think it happens more often than it does because they only get that one bit of what happens on the news or on social media or Instagram or Snapchat or anything like that. They don't realize that there's hundreds and thousands of contacts a day that don't result in any type of use of force or anything like that. But they get that one and then they get 2 and 3 in a week and they think it's like a problem.
Alright, and then with the rise of media exposure, there has been a giant surge in the movement of Black Lives Matter, and a large part of that is trying to solve an issue of police brutality. What is your take on that? Do you think that there really is a rise in police brutality, or do you think it's more of a rise in media coverage?
Well, I think it's a rise in media coverage. I think that the issue of force by police, either on the winning side or on the losing side, it's never going to look well. We all grimace when we watch an MMA fight, and when we see somebody knocked out, we all still grimace at that. I won't say violence, organized violence. When we see police officers involved in a fight, we make a determination awfully quickly about if it's legitimate or not. And generally we're making a determination with half of the information or even less than half of the information. And I'm not saying that all the situations are right or wrong. I'm just saying that as a society we generally make a determination off of a 20-second video snap of an incident without taking all of the situation or all the circumstances into consideration. Black Lives Matter is only, I assume, one group out there that has an interest in police brutality and how they address it. I think it's fair to address it or to question it. We're a public entity and we shouldn't be beyond scrutiny, and we should be about reflection. I think it's just a manner in which, that scrutiny comes down, that we have to try to find a balance in. Aggressive tactics probably won't always work, but in the past, sometimes it takes aggressive actions to get people to recognize certain things. And I say aggressive, I mean just maybe polarizing or not necessarily to be confrontational is okay and expected. To be violent is not.
Do you think that the rise of social media overall has negatively or positively affected your line of work?
It's negatively affected it. There's no accountability for what anybody says on social media. They put their spin on it to make the police look bad, and that's not the case.
Do you think that through your years as an officer, you've noticed a significant change in behavior of suspects and other officers?
Oh, absolutely. More suspects than officers. People have no respect for the police these days. They feel they can just get away with anything, and they can talk to the police however they want. So it's kind of gone downhill over the years.
All right, now on more positive notes. What's your most memorable moment as an officer or your proudest moment?
My most memorable moment was in 1995. I was riding with the, I was assigned the desk, and it was raining out, and now Chief Azuka came in with his partner that was sick and asked me to jump in the car with him. We weren't even a mile away from the city, or from the station, when we went to make a traffic stop and turned into a pursuit, and led us into a parking structure, and the car was waiting for us at the top of the parking structure, and it was a big shootout at the top of the parking structure. My partner was shot, Chief Azuka was shot 3 times in the leg, so that was the most memorable.
And then your proudest moment?
There were a lot of proud moments. I was a canine handler for 7 years, and you know, when your partner finds a suspect, you know, you're proud of your dog and proud of catching the bad guy. We caught, on Christmas Eve one year, we caught a serial killer in a Christmas tree lot. That was a pretty proud moment. The guy he was killing prostitutes and putting them in trash cans or shopping carts and pushing them down the street and posing them behind trash cans. And that was a suspect we got a lead on, and followed him, getting off a bus, going into a Christmas tree lot, and taking him into custody.
Right. And then do you have a favorite story you want to tell us about an arrest, or any just good story?
No, I assisted in a homicide investigation with the guy who just called me right now. They found a guy shot to death up in a construction site, and that's all they had. The officers rolled up, the guy had a couple gunshot wounds to his back, guy's cell phone was missing, and that was it. It was basically a robbery that went bad, but the detective that handled it did an excellent job. We got to assist with the case. It was a lot of work. It was probably a good year of work. The end result was they ended up capturing the person responsible for that murder, along with a bunch of other gang members that were involved in criminal activity, and the end result was good, and got some closure for the family.
Well, our next question is, would you like to tell your favorite story of an arrest, or that you or a colleague made, or just any fun story that you like?
The first one that comes to mind is probably back in 2006. I was riding along with a partner. We had just gotten a broadcast of a stolen car, and we got the description of the car, and I looked to my left, and he goes, "I think that's the car." And I said, okay. So we turn around on it, the car takes off, we're in pursuit, they crash at the mall, and the guy jumps out of the car, the passenger jumps out of the car, they run in, and we were kind of behind them because we got caught up in traffic. So we go into the mall, and there's just people there, and it seems like everyone just kind of stops and looks at us, and we had no idea who the suspect was. So I looked at my partner and go, okay, I'm just going to yell at someone to stop, and if they run, that's the person we're chasing. And that's what happened. So it was the guy who was in the car, but everyone else was kind of just shopping and was said, "Hey, stop!" And the guy took off running, so that's the guy we chased.
What was your most memorable moment as an officer, or your most proud moment?
Was anytime I've arrested somebody I would call a predator, who's done something to victimize society. That's probably a great moment, and I've had many of them. But I think some of the things I get the most value out of is just simply helping somebody. One in particular was a 10-year-old girl who wanted to kill herself and tried to jump off of tried to jump off the side of a building. I just managed to catch her, so that's probably my most proud moment.
Okay, we'll still send a code 3.
Okay.
So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Did you watch?